Hello, guys. Now we come to the segment of fractions. Fractions are actually parts of numbers, right? If you have, for example, an orange, this is an orange, for instance, and you divide this orange into two, right? The whole orange. Now the orange is broken into two pieces, right? This this piece of this is a fraction of this whole full orange, and this piece is a fraction of this whole full orange. We could break this orange, this full orange, into four pieces, right? You could have it in four pieces like this, then maybe something like this, and something like this. Right now it is in four pieces, meaning that if I take only this out of it, I just take only this part out of it, I just took one out of these four sides, right? So taking one out of these four sides, you end up with a fraction 1 all over 4, because it's 1 all over the whole full 4. How about this? There are two pieces. If I take this out of these two pieces, right, is a single fraction of 1 all over 2. So this is what we call fraction. It's a portion of a whole number. You can call it that way. So looking at these fractions, we have basically three types of fraction. We have improper fraction, we have proper fraction, then we have mixed fraction. These are basic mathematics, right? Just to make us understand fundamentals before we keep solving. When you talk of proper, let me treat proper fraction. When we talk of proper fraction, the numerator, a fraction actually is made up of three things. A numerator, which is this top part, and a denominator, a numerator, a denominator, a denominator, then a all over, right? That symbolizes that it is a fraction, a division sign that symbolizes that it's a fraction. So when the numerator is less than the denominator, let's say numerator is n and denominator is d. Once the numerator is less than the denominator, you have a proper fraction. For example, 2 all over 3. 2 numerator less than 3, which is denominator. So this is a proper fraction, right? Another example, 1 all over 5. You can see that the numerator, the top one, is less than denominator. So this is a fraction. But in the case of improper fraction, the numerator is actually greater than the denominator. The values for the topward part, like all these topward part 1, 3, and 7, is much higher than what you have for the downward part. So cases like 5 all over 3, 4 all over 3, not necessarily 7 over 5, and it goes on and on. All these are referred to as improper fraction. Then finally, we have mixed fraction. Mixed fraction is a combination of mixed fraction is actually a combination of whole number with proper fraction. So numbers like 1 over 2 over 3 are mixed fraction. Numbers like, let's say, 2 over 3 over 5 are mixed fraction. So combinations of whole number and proper fraction is what we refer to as mixed fraction. Right. Before we go to uh, solving questions, that is converting recurring decimals to fractions and fractions to recurring decimals, I would really like us to have an understanding of what decimals are, right? Because we've talked about decimals. So what are decimals? Decimals basically are numbers, right? They are numbers that have whole number parts at the same time have fraction parts. But this time is different from mixed fraction in that they are separated by what is referred to as a decimal point. So when you have a number like, for instance, 2.357, it is a decimal, right? It's a decimal number because it has a whole number part. The number before the decimal point is referred to as the integer part. Remember, we said integer are whole numbers but have zeros along with them, right? So the integer part is this. Then these other parts after the decimal point are referred to as the fractional part, right? We call them the fractional part. Some people may call it mantissa, right? Then this is the decimal point. So when you have a number that has an integer part along with numbers after a decimal point, something that looks like this is referred to as decimal. It could be 0.2572. You can see there's an integer before a decimal point. Then you have fractional parts of it. So these are decimals. So my next video will be how to convert fractions like this, recurring decimals, how to convert recurring decimals to fractions, or fractions to recurring decimal. Imagine you have 0.6666 and it keeps going, it doesn't stop, right? Now, according to your mathematics, you may want to say this is 6 all over 10, right? For those people that know this math, they say you just move it a bit like this to convert decimal to fraction, but this is wrong. This is not the fraction of this. Definitely wrong, because this will give you 0.6. 6 over 10 is 0.6, which is not the same thing as 0.6666. So how do we convert recurring decimals like this back to the fractions, and to change fractions like this back to recurring decimals? So we'll treat these things. Thank you. Please subscribe to my channel. I have content that you really love. Thanks.